In this session now, it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker for the day, Mr. Avnish Gupta. Mr. Avnish Gupta is the Vice President of Total Quality Management and Engineering Projects at Tata Steel Limited, and is responsible for assets and infrastructure management of the 10 million ton integrated steel works at Jamshedpur. Mr. Gupta is an electrical engineer by qualification and has also completed his post-graduation in business management from the prestigious XLRI. He is also a theory of constraints expert certified by the Goldratt School. During his stint as chief TQM at Tata Steel, he successfully spearheaded the efforts of Tata Steel in challenging the Deming Prize, which culminated in Tata Steel becoming the first steel company outside of Japan to get the prestigious Deming Prize in 2008. So Mr. Gupta is going to take us through the journey of Tata Steel on the business excellence. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Avnish Gupta. So this is the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, they have gone up.
The green one is
Yeah. Perhaps you now feel more comfortable in a mask, so sometimes you don't remember. Yeah, good evening, and thank you to all of you, I would say, who have braved it to be physically in this room. And also I thank all the participants who are virtually attending this, and if they have joined in the morning, so thank you for continuing in the evening. I've been asked to tell the Tata Steel's story or the journey into the quality journey that we say, business excellence journey, over the past 3 decades now. And that is what in some way Mr. Narendran alluded to in his address in the morning, and I would be going in some details. So while he spoke, I would say from his heart and mind both, I will use some of these slides to take you slightly deeper into it, and hope you will find it of some value and interest. So I have divided into 6 sections. About Tata Steel, then about the culture of continuous improvement, how we have built it, what were the challenges, how we weathered it, what were some of the shifts during this journey, some of the effects, and what we plan as the journey continues. Tata Steel is the 11th largest steel producer, around 20 million tons capacity in India now. I'm talking about Tata Steel India overview. Tata Steel has units in Europe and in Thailand. 38,000 employees. These are the turnover and EBITDA figures. We are in the hot rolled, cold rolled, galvanized and coated coils, which are the flat product business, and the wire rods, rebars, wires, and tubes, which comprises of the longs business. Some of the key market segments, construction and automotive. We are one of the highest market share on the automotive supplies in India, and some of our brands, which are more for the retail customers, are given there. The story started in 1907 in Jamshedpur. Right now that is a 11 million ton capacity. We have built up a greenfield integrated steel plant of 3 million ton, which was commissioned in 2015, and now that is going up till 8 million tons. We are adding a 5 million ton more, and that is one of my prime roles, other than TQM, the engineering and projects, which we are setting up that phase 2. And this is a acquisition, the Meramandali plant now, which is integrated into now Tata Steel. So we calling Tata Steel Meramandali. This is in Dhenkanal, Angul, Odisha, and this is a 5.6 million ton capacity. So these are the 3 integrated sites, and there are some other smaller manufacturing units around India. I wanted to explain the complexity and the, let's say, the issues in the value chain that a typical integrated steel producer will have. And I'm using the example of Jamshedpur steel works, but it would be perhaps common to other steel works. So if you see on the left, we have the raw materials. Since Tata Steel has a lot of, or at least iron ore as captive fully and coal to some extent, and some of the ferroalloys. So we source the raw materials from our raw material divisions. And broadly, there are 7 types of raw materials. And within each of the type, there will be some differences in the quality. But that is a given. And if you would have heard Dr. Kano's lecture on the Indian steel companies, he was saying that perhaps they are in a way married to that raw material, so that variability in the quality is a given. While if you are procuring it from the market, you can source as per your specifications. Then you have to convert this into hot metal, which is iron, which is of one sort of grade or quality. And then you again diverge into steel manufacturing process, where 300 plus steel grades are produced by us, and around, which is converted further into 1,000 plus distinct products. And then these are distributed across the country through 13,000 distributors and also direct B2B supplies. And we in a way touch 2.5 million customers. And this is where the whole system, which is steel processing centers, if you look at the bottom, 31 steel processing centers, 6 zonal hubs, 25 stockyards. So this value chain has to be managed to supply to the end customer as per agreed specifications and their requirements. And hence the process really needs some doing. So how we have gone into this continuous improvement journey and what we have done and how we have tried to get it across the value chain, I'll give you some glimpse in the next slides. The journey started, again, now very famous 1988-89 visit of Dr. Irani to JUICE, and we call that phase of standardization, 1988 to 91. I'm starting from the bottom to top, and you will see the initiatives or the TQM response at that point of time. The other phase was modernization of mind. This phrase came again from Dr. Irani because we had just completed modernization phase 3 around 93, 94 or 95. And he said, now we need to modernize our minds to really go to the next level of quality, and things like TPM, adoption of the Tata Business Excellence model, which Tata Steel started slightly ahead of the Tata Group as a JN Tata Excellence model. And then very soon we were also looking at cost competitiveness, how we can become one of the lowest cost producer of steel. And then look 2005 to 8, we say a global outlook, looking outside of India, and that is when some of our acquisitions happened, and seeking world class, how we can benchmark with the best in the world or best in the class in a way, not best in the steel industry. And the phase currently we say is seeking world class and reimagining the future. What does future hold for us? And some of these two thoughts, item 5 and 6, is what Mr. Narendran mentioned. Don't look at only your industry, look at other industry when you seek to be world class. And also reimagining the future. Is it digital? Is it sustainability? Is it agility? Those sort of aspects which are coming in. So these have been our journey. During our journey, some of the recognition you have on the right side, we see PM's trophy for the best integrated steel plants. Tata Steel has got 13 times and 11 times the trophy, because I think the repeat of the trophy for a few years was not allowed. JRD QV Award, which is the based on the Baldrige model. Leadership in excellence, again the next level of JRD QV, and then the two Deming prizes, Deming Application Prize and the Deming Grand Prize, and the industry leader and now the benchmark leader. Very recently, Tata Steel crossed the coveted 750 score in the Baldrige framework in the November assessment which were announced. So these are some of the effects. As again we say, we don't look for these assessments only for these trophies, but to learn and what is the next level of actions or things that need to be done. Just to tell you, I think on 22nd December we are having a workshop half day chaired by Mr. Narendran on the action planning for the feedback that we have received on the TBM assessment done in 2021. So it is only 1 month old. We have received the feedback 2 weeks ago and we are having the action planning. So that is the way, it has become the way we do things. This is the challenge. Industry which was strongly under a license Raj and a control Raj for almost 50 years. I would say this is showing post-independence, but before that also, and it continued till the early 90s when the environment was more socialistic and you had a lot of restrictions on what you could do, and we had to ensure that we are above our cost and maximize the use of licensed capacity and be a good corporate citizen. So we were profitable, but perhaps not creating value. And in fact, if you see in the middle, this is just during that liberalization, we had a consultant called Arthur D. Little, and they evaluated Tata Steel at that time as uncompetitive, with little market or customer orientation, outdated technology, and overweight. So these are the verbatim report from the consultant in 91, because they were evaluating how Tata Steel will perform in a market which will opening up, and that time new players were also coming in, and it was felt that we won't run for long. And that is the time when we say a rebirth of the dream of reinventing Tata Steel, where Dr. Irani played a big role. And this is the era of post-liberalization, cost and efficiency improvements, becoming a supplier of choice, customer first, har haal mein, all those things, introduction of those initiatives which I showed in the previous slide. And as a result, at the end of, let's say, this decade, around 2000, 2001, we were in a better position technologically, product-wise, being recognized as one of the lowest cost producer in the world, and on the path of setting the culture of continuous improvements. In 2000, early 2000, steel industry was also considered as a value destroyer. So while it was thought ki, okay, they have done well, but you are not adding a value which is economic value added, which is EVA positive. EVA is return on invested capital minus weighted average cost of capital. So if you are borrowing at the rate of 10%, weighted average, let's say, of your debt and equity, or 11, 12%, whatever it is, and your return is not over that, then you are value destroying. You may be profitable. So Tata Steel was sort of evaluated as a EVA negative company, and we said we should have an aspiration to overcome that, and some more initiatives were required, and that is what we say under the Aspire philosophy that time. Set up an aspiration which is beyond the current reality, gather determination, muster resources, get some achievements, and have a self-confidence in aspiring for more. And while we continued with our the TQM initiatives in a usual sense, we added some unique initiatives, and these were initiatives in the marketplace through the customer value management, retail value management, and theory of constraints in the supply chain, and also theory of constraints in the operational areas, and on the supplier side, supplier value management. So the whole value chain was covered with some of the unique initiatives at that time in the industry, and we worked with renowned experts and in each of these initiatives, and we had some good outcomes of that, which created a very strong partnership with customers, channel partners, improving the value of spend by the customer. We have in the customer value management joint projects of how we can add value to the customer, at the same time also then locking up with them for future business. So it is a win-win sort of approach that is taking. Similarly for channel partners, it was retail value management, and that improved customer loyalty. Some of the paradigm shift, now I'm starting to go deeper into TQM journey. 2004 is when we got a score of 700 plus in the Baldrige framework under TBM assessment. We were, let's say, in that bracket of industry leader with good approaches, good deployment, some outstanding results, and we said we will proceed towards that world leadership or a benchmark leadership through applying for the Deming Prize and seeing what more needs to be done. So that circle you see rolling up from 2005 upwards using TQM more fundamentally. But when we had a TQM diagnosis in 2005, Dr. Iizuka's comment was that our understanding on the profound meaning of TQM needs to improve. We need to understand the profound meaning of daily management, and we are poor in systematic analysis, particularly in analyzing the cause-effect mechanism. So a company having a score on 700 and getting this feedback in 2005, so there was a disbelief, then a gradual understanding, then an analysis of what is to be done, then the communication and a shared commitment of moving forward. So this resulted into first intervention of getting a integrated framework, because by that time we had done a lot of things, but perhaps it was scattered and not organized, and what Mr. Narendran said, in a simple way, not understandable to the masses. So we said we have some TQM vehicles which are in the middle, the policy management, daily management, cross-functional management, and small group activities and suggestion management. The policy management is the strategic part, the business objectives and strategies. The daily management is your day-to-day part on the stability and capability that was being discussed by Apollo Tyres. Cross-functional management is across the verticals, and small group activity is really the shop floor employee, the people doing Kaizens, QC activities, etc. We have focused methodologies, which are the tools and techniques, which will come in from time to time. They may be added, they may be dropped, but those tools you will need. And then periodically you will have review and assessments, which are to do a health check, get a feedback, and further improve. The foundation is standardization and education and training. So this was the common language lexicon that was spread across the organization. And it has stayed, now this is 12 years old or 13 years old, and or maybe 14 years old now. This was done when I was the chief of TQM, and it is continuing still in Tata Steel. The other one was, how do you plan on the policy management, the next level of improvement? So if you see the graph, what we have achieved at a period of time, and over a period we have the gray triangle says what can be calculated now that we will reach after a certain period of time. But Tata Steel also believed that we need to set a target which is slightly above what can be calculated now, and which is the aspiration, which you may not have the means right now, but you feel that during the course of the time period, you will discover the means and you will involve the team and get to that target. So you see that red triangle, that is the target we set in our policy targets, and rotate the PDCA, and that PDCA keeps on rotating as we go along the journey. It's not the plan that has been made on T1 and in the T12, the same plan continues. It keeps on rotating, and you have new enablers, new plans to do and then implement. So that is the way we have set our policy management. This is a slight deviation from where the Japanese philosophy was on how do you set targets, and how you are saying that you will achieve a delta over the calculated target. And this is the framework that we used, and ultimately Dr. Kano also thought that this is the way Tata Steel is trying to. We may not always achieve that up to the end of that red triangle, but somewhere above the gray triangle is the achievement, and that is in a way a good way. So the challenges, the benefits, and some of the methods that have been used are listed. Again, because of time, I will not spend too much. This is the daily management, the second vehicle, TQM vehicle. Again, sustenance and improvement of current performance through variability management. So continuous PDCA and SDCA, standardized do check act. So how do we run SDCAs and then go to the next PDCA? So that was the method, internal best, then sustaining that, and then making the next PDCA, going to the benchmark level, sustaining that, maybe challenging the technical limit, even elevating that, and this continuous SDCA and PDCA cycles were repeated. Challenges was, this was to be done by the shop floor, training of the shop floor, ensuring uniformity of deployment. So we have a daily management workbook, and ultimately our colleague Dr. Pankaj Kumar also worked on daily management by Professor Endo, and there's a book on the daily management by Tata Steel, co-authored by Dr. Pankaj Kumar and Professor Endo. And the main issue was, how do you appreciate maintenance and sustenance of the process? This appreciation, normally people are very excited about doing improvement, but the same intensity is not felt when you are doing maintenance of the process. And perhaps that is equally, let's say, difficult or as doing an improvement, but it is a no hero's job. Okay, you are not a hero by maintaining that process. You are a hero when you are improving the process. So this sort of an appreciation in the people, that if you are maintaining the process, that is also important within the limits. So the benefits, clarity on roles and objective, empowerment, and enhancing the internal customer focus. The cross-functional management was about how do you treat each function across that value chain that I showed as your next customer. and how does a person sitting in raw material connects with the end customer requirement, and how does he or she feels that they are serving the end customer by supplying the quality that their next customer wants. And this is the way that we cascaded from the customer to the flat and long product, which is the steel making units, to the iron making units, to the raw materials, what sort of specifications, that is the technical delivery conditions that a customer is giving, what it gets converted into a memorandum of understanding for the steel melting shop, which is a memorandum of understanding cascaded to a iron making unit, and same understanding then flows to the RM, raw materials, with their parameters in between. And for the support functions, we had a COA, which is a charter of agreement of what sort of support each of these main production functions will get from all the other functions, maybe finance, maybe procurement, etc. So this is the cross-functional management that has been set up, and this has also been formalized. All this culminated, as I said, in the Deming Application Prize in 2008 and the Deming Grand Prize in 2012. The excerpts from the Deming report in 2012 is given here about pursuing world class and realization of global benchmarking and grooming of TQM experts, importance to customer, process and data, HR development, total employee involvement, and TQM culture like sustenance and improvement have been cascaded based on continuous implementation of TQM. The accelerated value creation, again, now I come back to more current, is this, that time I said EVA positive, this time it is Shikhar 25. Shikhar 25 is 25% EBITDA with purchased raw material, means raw material at market cost. Sometimes people say that Tata Steel is making profits because they have raw materials from their own supplies, though that is not so true now because of the royalties and the cess levies even on the captive material. But if you bought raw material from the market, can you still make 25% EBITDA? And this is the Shikhar 25 initiative, which is the accelerated value creation initiative, which has been added to TQM, and it has a 4-tier structure with the impact centers, if you see in the bottom, supported by the Shikhar champions. The blue box is the impact center, and they identify, measure, prioritize, act, correct, and track. This is the full form center. Tripti was part of it before she again came back to TQM very recently. And we have a business process engineering team that works on it. Then we have the lead center, which is chaired by the vice president, and a quarterly review by the ED, CFO, and the CEO. So this is 40 impact centers across the whole value chain. We have added the IT Shikhar, again from the digital initiatives, what value we can generate, and the company leadership and people have been taken through reverse mentoring, digital programs, digital immersion programs, advanced analytics, and these are the other paradigm that we have taken up in the last few years. The third item on the paradigm shift is on focusing on the delivered quality rather than only manufactured quality. And this is where our focus is also now shifting to providing services and solutions. So it is not only about the hot roll, cold roll products and the rebar wire rods, but you will find now the finished products, which is a sort of an end consumer. It may be a steel door, a steel window. We have a very now brand which is becoming popular, Pravesh doors. which are doors like, they look and sound like wood, but made of steel, and the demand is picking up, and in fact we are, let's say, coping up to service the orders. And similarly on agricultural equipment, furniture, housing, colored roofing, these are some of the solutions that we are offering, some prefabricated structures, buildings, etc. So some of the effects are on all the stakeholders, on the customer, on the owners and employees, community, government, partners, 5,000 improvement projects, 40,000 Kaizens every year on an average is the in-process effect, if I can say so. 1,500 KPIs monitored through the daily management. We have from the Shikhar initiative that I talked about, around 12,000 crores of savings, and other effects are listed on the right side. Some of the effects in graphical format, the lost time injury frequency rate, if you can see over the years, the customer claim part per million defectives, the CO2, the greenhouse gas intensity per ton of crude steel, and maintaining a high due date delivery performance. While the graph may look flat, but going above 90% due date performance in a steel supply is itself takes some doing because of that complex value chain. When we started this journey in middle 2005, we were around 70%. So we are maintaining high 90s, as we call it, both in our flat and longs. Last two slides. As the journey continues, what should we do? So again, a quote from the Deming Grand Prize 2012. While in a rapidly changing environment, TQM is necessary to identify priority issues that are well suited and help promote activities necessary for tackling new issues. So practice TQM that supports innovative business management through continued implementation of priority issues. So while we are in the present, we are focusing and improving, innovating our current products and processes driven by current customer needs, but we are also trying to create something new for the future, which is for creating for new customers and building new capabilities. So some of these are services and solutions I talked about. Diversifying beyond steel, new material business we have started. Digitalization, pioneering a digital steel company. The two of our sites are recognized by the World Economic Forum as a digital lighthouse, the Kalinga Nagar and the Jamshedpur site. Sustainability, water neutrality, reduction in CO2 emissions, circular economy, and inculcating the culture of agility. So these are some of the initiatives right now under varying degree of implementation, and we'll see how they are going to impact the Tata Steel and the steel industry and the world industrial or the manufacturing scenario at large. On like agility, TQM is taking part by being the agility coaches are now embedded in TQM, and they are helping the agile teams in taking up projects on that framework. So I would say thank you. Ultimately, man is required. I don't know about bot when it would become a reality, but till that time, transformations will still be achieved by man, and we will need the hardware, but they may be necessary but not sufficient. So company cannot buy its way into quality. It has to be done through hard work by all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, if I may request you to please stay back on the stage for a moment. And I think one very important point that you said was that maintenance is equally important as is the improvement. And ladies and gentlemen, it takes an effort to institutionalize and sustain the new culture in an organization that is more than a century old. So let's give a very big round of applause once again to Mr. Avnish Gupta. May I now request Mr. Anil Sachdev to hand over the memento to Mr. Gupta. Can we have the memento, please? Thank you, sir.